Ever since I was a young kid, my family has had horses. We've been riding them in competitions and just generally having them around. It took quite a long time when I was younger to realize not everybody has horses. And when I did realize it, I started feeling a little more lucky and privileged and grateful for having these horses. And I didn't quite know it at the time, but my parents put in a lot of effort to be able to maintain our property and keep these horses around. I was in middle school when my cousin pointed out that it was unfair that my father was the only person ever taking care of these horses. He would get up in the morning and feed them, he would call the vet all the time for them if anything had happened, and he would treat them if they'd gotten injured. And when my cousin pointed that out, I decided myself to take on the duty of feeding them in the morning and making sure that they weren't injured. So I thought that I would be unhappy feeding the horses for some weird reason. I'd have to get up in the morning and I'd have to stay up until nighttime to be able to feed them, to keep them on a regular schedule, as horses need food to be constantly going through their bodies. And I realized it was actually a really great opportunity. I found a lot of happiness in doing it. I felt happy being able to take this responsibility away from my dad, and I felt really good when I got up in the morning and I would see them eating, and it was just amazing. So I have 2 points to my experience in that feeding the horses gave me a reason to get out of bed every morning, and it gave me an opportunity to see the world outside of my room because I spent a lot of time indoors. My first point in it gave me a reason to get out of bed in the morning is I basically woke up whenever I felt like it at the time, only waking up really when I needed to go out and go to school. But with my new responsibility, I would have to get up before going to school. Before I ate, I'd go out and feed these horses. And although it sounds tough, it was actually a much easier. I was able to structure my day better and make it easier to do things. And it was just incredible. I had purpose. And to my second point, I would see things I normally wouldn't see. I would get to see the sunrise and the sunset in the same day. And although there were times when it was raining out or it was miserable, wind, shine, any sort of weather conditions, I would have to go out. But I got to see wonderful things like when the geese would migrate and when there were bloody moons or harvest moons and things like that. I would know it before my family. I'd call them up and be like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. And they'd be like, oh, please don't wake me up. In conclusion, though, feeding the horses was something I was very proud of, and I found a lot of beauty. Although I'd be trudging through the mud, I had great experiences. And when you physically get to see the sunrise and the sunset in a day, it really puts it in perspective, like the vastness of the world that we live in. And although you think feeding horses wouldn't lead to finding yourself, it did for me. Thank you.